Good morning, guys. Let's make my latte. We are not filming this way. I'm going to get back on the couch, but I just wanted to show you guys what my desk looks like up close. And also, I finally got a chair for it. Well, it's kind of a stool because I plan to stand as much as humanly possible just for like fitness, I guess, health and wellness. The stool that I got is from Crate and Barrel. It's the Jack Arnold collection. I'm going to lift it up. I feel like the colors perfectly balance very well in this space. And when you're working with a deep, rich color like Dark Knight by Sherwin Williams, which is what's on the wall, you just have to be a little bit more strategic with what other colors you put in the space. I think this mustard color complements the office so well. I don't even know how to explain it to you. I'm gonna put a link to this ottoman in the description box of this video. You can also go on my shop to shop anything in my office, anything I wear, drink, eat, whatever. But I think it's the perfect complement. People might be like, oh, this isn't ergonomic to have an ottoman to sit on instead of a desk chair. I don't plan on sitting that much. I really plan on standing as much as possible, as I already stated. And I think I also kind of want to be uncomfortable in a chair or a stool so that I don't sit as much as I want to stand. And it's comfortable, actually. I find it to be very comfy. And my latte is made to perfection. That's how you know we're ready to start this video. Before we get started, my pajamas are from Olivia Von Hale. I got them on sale at like Farfetch or one of those like wholesalers. I can't remember which one. It was either Net-a-Porter or Farfetch, but I'm always looking out for sales. And I think I got this for half off. I've had them ever since. They're super comfortable, 100% silk, cannot complain. I have these True Botanical eye patches on, which I'm going to take off because I've had them past the 30 minutes. And you guys know that my glasses are from Bonnie and Clyde LA. We are continuing the series on where I tell you things I wish I knew in my 20s. So I'm going to shift over to the couch and we are going to get started. I've just been loving doing these coffee chats in my pajamas because they just feel so much more cozy. But when I don't have to be on camera for a bunch of meetings and stuff, I just enjoy staying in my pajamas and not getting dressed until I have to leave the house. But anyway, let's just jump right into the 5 things for this video. Number 1, comparison isn't going to change your circumstances. Only you can do that. And I want to say I acknowledged this when I was a teenager, but it didn't really like seep into my brain probably until my mid-20s. And I wish it seeped into my brain in my like early 20s, like at like 19, 20 years old. Man, there's so much trauma that comes from growing up in an immigrant household. But growing up in an immigrant household, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, whatever older adults there are in your life, they have this tendency to compare you to anybody. And they compare everyone. Like they compare all their children together. They get around and they're like, oh, well, my kid's a doctor. Oh, what does your kid do? Your kid's an artist? I don't know about that. Oh, well, my kid's an artist, but they make this much money. How much money does your kid make? My kid has this many degrees. My kid went to Yale. My kid went to Harvard. My kid got the honor roll. It's basically just the like comparison Olympics, which is why I feel like so many immigrants who come to this country have a hard time with finding like joy and happiness because they spend so much time comparing their life to their peers rather than just enjoying what they have. Like I learned in my mid-20s that comparison is not going to change your circumstance. Like you can sit around all day and compare yourself to the next person, but is it going to change anything for you? That's why sometimes also in social media, like there's a lot of conversations about like comparing content creators and being like, oh, well, like the white content creators are this way and the black content creators are this way. I never partake in those kind of conversations because at the end of the day, it's not going to change my circumstance. I'm still black. I think it's a good discussion to have for people to be aware and for people to make the effort to advocate for people of color to have more opportunities similar to their white counterparts. I believe that for any industry, not just even social media. At my regular job in regulatory affairs, I'm always advocating for people of color in terms of like participation in clinical studies and how we should care about the inclusion of people of color, not just going for what's easy, which is for white counterparts. So I don't feel like talking about the comparisons make the change, but actually putting forth effort to do some sort of change is what actually is going to work best for you. So with the social media example, I rather work really hard to try and get myself in certain spaces, and then when I'm in those spaces, elevate other people of color into those spaces. That's what's going to change, rather than comparing myself to my white counterparts. It's not going to do anything. So I wish I knew that earlier on, rather than wasting so much time seeping myself into comparison about like, oh, this person has this, why don't I have that? This person's doing this, why don't I have that? And then it creates this like weird inherent competition that you have with someone who probably doesn't even know you exist, or weird inherent competition for no reason. And I feel like it all started when I was a kid. I was compared to my younger sister because she was so much smarter than me. She was brilliant, book smarts. I used to literally take our report cards and burn them and be like, oh yeah, I just don't know why they didn't come in, because I would get like a C and a B and my sister would get straight A's. And then I'd be compared to her for, I don't know, a very long time, for months on end, about why am I not like doing as well as she is in school and stuff like that. And so I feel like hearing that and growing up in that kind of environment, and then also just like cousins and relatives, like there's this weird competitive nature. And then you see your parents competing with their siblings and their peers, and it's this never ending cycle of like, I'm doing better than you Olympics. And so you internalize that because it's what your environment taught you, and then you go out into the world and you spend so much time comparing yourself to other people. I don't do that anymore. I don't compare myself to anybody. I am me. I am Kyyah. I have what I have. We thank God for that. I am where I am, and I'm happy with where I'm sitting. There's always going to be someone richer, smarter, prettier than me. I'm not going to waste aspects of my life trying to measure up to someone else. The only person I want to compete with is the old version of me, nobody else. I honestly think that's what makes me so comfortable with also creating content the way that I want to create content, because I do think that agencies and like aspects of the industry kind of formulate creators to like do and be a certain way, and you have to be more polished. You have to do this. You can't say that. I kind of just do what I want and it works the way it works. Like, sorry, I'm not going to always show up perfect because that's what the next person is doing. I am not the next person. I am me. And if this is how I choose to show up today in my pajamas, that's how I'm choosing to show up. I'm not going to stress myself out doing a full face of makeup and putting on my designer clothes to sit and film a YouTube video, because that's the only way I can film content, because that's how everybody else is doing it. Comparison will not get you anywhere. I kind of went on a roundabout with that topic, but yeah, I just feel like it really is the thief of joy. It doesn't allow for you to enjoy your life and your own creativity and your own happiness. And it doesn't change your circumstance. Comparison does not change your circumstance. It does nothing for you. Nothing. Action does something for you. If you are inspired by somebody else who went to school, or somebody else who had a glow up, or somebody else who's doing something that you're interested in, instead of sitting there and being like, oh, well, why don't I have that? Why can't I be like this? Get in the library and start reading those books so you can apply to school. Get on YouTube and start watching videos about like developing your own skincare routine, your own makeup routine, whatever it is you want to do. Inform yourself with action. So yeah, that's number one. Comparison does absolutely nothing for you. It will leave you exactly where you are, just a little bit more miserable than you were the day before. Number two, which kind of piggybacks off of number one, because I talked about feeling like I was compared a lot as a child, is we all have a series of experiences, right? And those series of experiences inform our interactions with people. So if you as a child or as a teenager experienced some sort of trauma, it's going to inform your behavior in your 20s. And obviously when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you don't have the wisdom, at least I didn't have the wisdom of, wow, all these things that I'm going through right now are going to inform my reactions and interactions in my romantic, platonic, all of my relationships. Maybe I should do something about it. I wish earlier in my 20s, I read the books Love Language and Attachment Style, because it would have helped me further understand how a lot of the experiences I had as a teenager informed a lot of my actions in my 20s. And I feel like now that I'm 30, I'm still dismantling some of the like things that I built up in my teens, because I never addressed it in my 20s and now I have to address it at 30. I just wish I knew that a little bit more. The reason why I say read the book Attachment Style is because it talks a lot about how you form relationships with people. Platonic, romantic, doesn't really matter. And when you're reading it and you're understanding what your attachment style is, it helps you uncover what like historical trauma informed that behavior. For example, my father passed away when I was 19, right? So as a teenager, you might feel a sense of abandonment. And so you might develop an anxious attachment style. Or it could be the complete opposite, where you felt abandoned and you don't ever want to feel that heartbreak again. So in your 20s, you spend so much time having an avoidant attachment style where you don't want to address any emotions. I just wish I knew that. Like, I honestly wish like the first 2 or 3 years of my 20s, I spent time really understanding how my teenage years informed so much in my 20s. Anyway, it's all good now. And then in regard to love languages, it just also kind of helps you dissect things from your childhood. Like, my father used to spoil me with pretty much whatever I wanted. And we were very close before he passed. So now as an adult, I feel like gift giving is my love language to a degree, and quality time. And those two love languages really are just informed from my past experiences, to be honest. And now that I understand what my love languages are and what my attachment style is, it helps me have a better relationship with my fiance, with my friends, and just have better communication. All of these things, I feel like what I'm trying to get at is reaching a level of self-actualization earlier in your 20s is going to help you live better in your 30s, essentially. Now we're going to pivot a little bit to career. Those first two, I feel like kind of heavy for me because they're rooted in like a lot of emotions, but we're going to pivot to career for these last three. So number 3 is you are more than your job. And it took me a long time to realize that I was more than my job. Again, your childhood experiences or your environment shapes who you are when you grow into be an adult. And some of the things that shape you into who you are as an adult is like a defense mechanism to a certain degree, but you are more than your job. And I used to put so much value in how much money I made. I used to put so much value in my job title. That's why I was so aggressive early in my career, where I was like, I'm a senior associate. I need to be a manager within a year. I need to be a senior manager within 2 years. I need to be an associate director. I need to be a director. I need to be a VP before I'm 30. I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to be making this much money before this year. Because to me, at the time when I was making these goals, my value was rooted in my job. It was rooted in my job title. It was rooted in how much I earned. And there's a cultural aspect to that. I feel like within the Nigerian community, at least in my experience, because I know there are people who come from very healthy homes and very healthy environments where that's not the case. But I do think there is this like hustle culture, which is great to a degree, but then it kind of takes over your life. And it becomes like one of the most important things is surpassing what you recently did to get to that next level. So in doing that, I just came across a lot of like poor experiences. Like I've told you guys before in a different video how I had jaw surgery and I worked through my jaw surgery. I should have immediately contacted HR. I didn't because I, love my associate director title, my salary. I didn't want to forego that. Obviously there's like job security in that decision making as well, but climbing the ladder aggressively, working really late nights and not hanging out with my friends because I wanted to prove something at work because I felt that it mattered so much. In the end, I don't have any regrets with any decisions that I've made professionally, because now at this age, and I feel like at 28, I kind of was starting to realize like, oh, no. My life cannot be for clocking into a corporate job. Absolutely not. I'm happy with like the way my career has gone. I just wish I had this mentality now, because I also feel like I'm a lot more bold professionally. Like I will ask anything, I will do anything because I have confidence in my capabilities. You give me the job, you don't give me the job, we move on. I'll find another one. I'm not being held like mentally prisoned to a job. My value is not the job. I have so many other aspects a part of me that aren't just my corporate 9 to 5. I create content. I'm an aunt. I'm a fiance. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter. I'm a sibling. I'm a niece. I'm a cousin. I'm so many more things than sitting in a chair from 9 to 5 and clocking in to make other people more money. So yeah, you are more than your job. Recognize that you were put on this earth to do so much more than just that one thing. And I wish I knew that earlier. I feel like I would have started creating content in college or like the first couple of years of my career more consistently and more freely had I had this perception of like you are more than just your job. Number 4 is experience matters more than perfection. All of these kind of, I feel like mesh well together, but I wish I wasn't focused so much on being like so perfect, doing everything so right, being obsessed with like climbing the corporate ladder in terms of job title. It wasn't until my late 20s when I started to not care about job titles. Like I've said before on my Instagram and my TikTok, please, even though I have acted as an interim VP at a small biotech company in regulatory, I'll tell you right now for free, I would take a manager job. Don't care. Especially contract, not full-time. I would take a contract manager job. I've taken contract senior manager jobs. I don't care about the job title. Is the pay gonna hit my direct deposit? it, cool. Doesn't really matter to me, because at the end of the day, something that I learned later in my 20s, which I wish I knew earlier in my 20s, is the small titles are for big mistakes. When you have a title such as a manager or associate or senior associate, you have the ability to experiment and explore and learn in a massive way. And I feel like I've been able to grow the most in the roles where I had like a smaller title, because I could take risks. I could ask questions. I could look dumb, so to speak, because that's what you expect from someone who is at that level. You don't expect them to know everything. But when you are in the director, associate director and above, actually, there's a lot more scrutiny on everything you do. There's a lot more value tied to what you say, how you act, the outcome of your decisions. There's so much more weight. So for me, I just wish earlier in my 20s, I understood that experience is more important than perfection, or the idea of being perceived perfect in climbing this like hierarchy. If you want to stay in a manager role for 5 years, stay there. If you feel like that's how you're able to learn and grow and explore and like conquer, do that. And the reason why I say now I would take a manager role, especially in like a different indication, because I'm predominantly oncology, hematology. I've done some psychiatry, general medicine. If I was like going into cardiology and they offered me a manager role or even med device, I'd be like, yeah, because this is a new space where I want to learn and grow. And it's better to do that in a small role where I don't have as much experience and I can like break things and move fast kind of vibe, and not be as reprimanded for it in comparison to holding like a director role at a medical device company where I'm a little bit way more green in med device, because I've never worked in med device. Even though I have 10 years of regulatory experience, it's not the same. Drug is not the same as device. So yeah, if you're navigating your career right now and you feel like you're behind because like you still have a certain job title, no, have fun with it, play with it, experiment in that role, ask for more responsibilities. And after you're in that role and you feel more comfortable, you can move on to the next thing. But there's nothing wrong with where you are. Everything is for an intended purpose. And the last one is going to be interview the employer. Again, I waited till my like mid to late 20s to really understand this. And I really wish I knew this like coming out of college at 21, 22. Interview the employer. Interviewing them is just as important as them interviewing you. Because how do you know you want to work there? I would have avoided so many toxic work environments if I was just asking the right interview questions. If I was really just assessing the interviewer and the organization. Now, when I go into a company, I'm asking the hard-hitting questions. I'm assessing the workload. I'm assessing the CEO. I'm assessing leadership. I'm assessing how they handle change. I'm assessing how much cash they have on hand. I'm assessing it all, because I don't want to walk into an environment where I'm going through the same experience I went through before, where I told you guys I had to report one company and the things that were happening in there to the board of directors. Had I really asked the real questions to assess that company and those people, I would never have been at those companies. Now I can smell it from a mile away. I can smell a toxic company from a mile away, and it's because I take the time to interview the employers. I have made a video on here, and I've made so many on Instagram and TikTok about like questions to ask an employer. Check those out. Also, if you go on my website, careersavage.com, I have like a interview prep guide, which gives you a ton of questions to ask based on the category of the issue you're trying to assess. Also, I've opened up my resume writing service and my consulting service up again for a limited amount of time, so you can do that and book a consult at careersavage.com. I hope you guys found this video informative. I'm going to continue the series on. If there's anything specific you guys want me to talk about, make sure you leave the comments down below. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this video was kind of all over the place in terms of the things I wish I knew earlier in my 20s, but you guys get how I make videos by now. And you know, as I said, at 30, I'm not chasing perfection. I'm chasing persistence and consistency, and you can only learn and grow as a person, as a professional, as all the things that you are, if you at least try. So I will see you guys in the next coffee chit chat video. I hope you have a good morning. Bye.